Like I signed on like 5, 6 years before of one thing that Todd said when he was making a pizza at my joint.
Listen, I'm very excited about the new look. I had a chance to watch the show, watch it with my wife, and we both just loved it so much. I was very surprised at all that I did not know, first of all, about the world of Christian Dior and House of Dior and all that. Were you like when you first when this project was first brought your way? I mean, were you also surprised at how much sort of espionage there was surrounding Christian and his life and everything?
Yeah, well, that was way into it. Like I signed on like 5, 6 years before of one thing that Todd said when he was making a pizza at my joint. But no, I knew a bit about World War II and whatnot, but what I didn't sort of know was that all of those guys, that's sort of the very beginning for all them, and that there's some incredibly heroic survival going on with it, and that survival looks very different for different people. And it's very easy to sort of go, you know, to go there and there and there. But unless you walk in the footsteps of those people and get where they're coming from, you know, don't be quick to judge. Just go for the ride and see how it feels. And he's a genius at putting you right in that spot where you think you know. Do you know? Do you know? Like, I love him. He's a master storyteller. You know, master storyteller. Sopranos, Damages, Bloodline, the new look. And I think for me, look, no one's going to, you know, you tell me 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, someone's saying, oh, you'd make a great Christian Dior. But he knows, he can see it. He goes, you. And because he knows the bits that I can just lean more into and go, that's going to be an interesting Christian.
Were you doubtful? Like, was this one of those things where you were like, I don't know about that? When he said like to you, like, you're Christian Dior.
He didn't say to me, I said, when do we start? I said, when do we start? He just told me the thing about this. He said he has what he thinks is his real self, and then he hates that he's got this other self that he has to be to go and operate in the atelier selling dresses and stuff. And I turned to him and said, well, when are we doing it? You know, when are we doing it? But yeah, I always doubt. I think the great thing about someone like Christian Dior is we have ideas about what it takes in the world to get by and how you should be and what attitude you should have to be a successful person. Well, take a look at this example. This is not someone that, you know, this is not someone that's saying affirmations. This is not, you know, this is someone that's got all this doubt, all this, all this, that. He's got a good heart, you know, he's got a good heart. He wants to do the right thing and he gets his chance. You know, he gets his chance and he does change the world, you know, he really does. He brings in the economic miracle of France after the war. He's hugely important in France, you know, more than I understood. And, but yeah, I worry that, you know, I'm really concerned to do the best job I can because I'm kicking it up to you guys, you know, the audience, which is all anything's about, you know what I mean? And any of this stuff, it ain't about us, it's about you, you know?
Well, listen, as an audience member, I'll tell you that I've been deeply moved by the show. I've loved it very much. I was skeptical. Frankly, I was skeptical at first. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to like this. And I was hooked. I was hooked after the first episode. I was like, this is my favorite show of the year so far. This is my favorite show of the year. It's so good. It kicks off February 14th, 3 episodes on Apple TV. Ben, thank you very much for the time to chat. I really appreciate it.
No, I really enjoyed this. Thank you so much, mate. I really appreciate you.
Excited to be chatting with you about the new look, which is to Apple TV, February 14th, first 3 episodes. You play Lucien Lelong, famous French, I can't say the word right, couturier? How do I say that? I don't know. I didn't get that
Couturier.
Right. Couturier, okay, thank you. Who I think could be argued is part of the biggest reason why we know Dior today. The reason I'm curious the thing that I'm curious to ask you is, getting into the mind of Lelong, do you think that he thought that way about his relationship with Dior?
I think oft times, at least as our series proposes or presents, oftentimes I think he was really worried about Dior. I think he had a fantastically firm belief in his talent and quite a sizable fear about his capacity for self-destruction, his psychological fragility in many ways, his overdeveloped sensitivity and probably sense of shame and various neuroses. He certainly believed in his talent, but I think he saw it as a series of trying to take away the obstacles out of the path of Dior so that his talent could flourish in the way that that talent deserved. I'd probably put it that way.
The temperaments, I like the relationship between Dior and Lelong. It's a part of what I really, really enjoyed about the show. And the temperaments that they have are very similar. And I think you notice a lot of times where Lelong sort of rubs against other people who are not the same temperament. But with Dior, there's this almost like brotherly sort of connection. And I was curious if that was something that you and Ben maybe talked about or had an intention towards, sort of being more sort of on the same energy level.
Ben is an actor. I didn't know him as a person. I had one conversation. We happened to have a friend in common 10, 15 years ago over the telephone. But Ben has always fascinated me as an actor, everything I've seen him in. I think he's just a spectacularly gifted actor. He's so quick off the mark. He has such interesting, singular instincts. He makes such unexpected, surprising choices. He's so emotionally vulnerable and available, which is not so usual in male actors. For all of that, I love the work he does. So I think our relationship just kind of naturally evolved like that. He plays Dior in such a way that you worry about him. You believe in him, but you worry about him. So a lot of the times, you ask yourself in a scene, what can I do? What should I do so he's not in pain? So I think that informed a great deal of our on-screen relationship.
Absolutely. I see a lot of what you're saying too, because as a viewer, there's a lot of suspense built around Christian's emotions. Around how Christian is going to react to something, or what you're almost like you're seeing it before he does. And it's just hard to watch at times. Beautiful series. Thank you so much for taking time to chat about it.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for your interest. Thank you.
We're talking about The New Look, which is coming to Apple TV on Valentine's Day, February 14th. The first 3 episodes debut on that day. Phenomenal series. You play the iconic Coco Chanel, who is a household name, but I think a lot of people are going to be surprised to learn more about her story and what she went through during World War II and in the aftermath. Were there any aspects of playing Coco before or during that you found yourself eager for people to see or learn about?
Well, I needed to understand first, what kind of person she was before thinking of the audience, because I had to, I need to go into my, understanding and feeling. And so I read a lot of books about her, trying to understand who she was and why she would behave like this, like that. And I had some contradictory books about her, and I was quite surprised how some of them were describing her as being, a horrible monster, dark, and others that were enhancing her, like this, this feminine figure liberating women, and she came from a very poor background and making so much, being recognized and being this icon of fashion. So I had to make my own, world and understanding of what was happening. And what I tried really is to make her as a human being, because I wanted the audience to understand her, on an emotional, in an emotional way, because I think my role is not to judge the role I'm playing, but to link the little girl with what she's been through as an adult, as an artist, as a lover, as a friend as well, and go into the war and with all that background that I need to bring with me. And that's what I try to do and relate it to my own life, because as actors, that's what you do. You try to make it real so people can feel while they're watching the show.
I guess piggybacking off of that a little bit, my wife watched the show with me. We watched it together, and something that we talked about was how all throughout the episodes, what you come to learn is that a lot of the narrative is Coco being betrayed, abandoned, manipulated by just about everyone she comes in contact with, it seems.
Yeah, that's probably why also sometimes she did the same.
Right, yeah, that's a very good point.
Yeah, and also the fact that she came from the poorest family at the end of 19th century, and that for women being poor, you stay poor your whole life because there was no possible writing, and she had no education really, and so there was the need of, raising was very big in her, especially because she didn't have any father and mother around. And her, her siblings were very fragile at the same time. Her sister committing suicide, the other one left and was found dead in South America somewhere. And so and her two brothers were sent away in families as orphans. I mean, it was all scattered. So she probably, and she had that energy of wanting to learn, wanting to make things, wanting to be someone recognized. She tries to be a cabaret singer. It didn't work. A seamstress didn't work. She was not very good seamstress, which is quite amazing because she said that about herself as well. But she was making things with her hands, so she was good making hats and had ideas and had a practical thing, that women at the time had hats that were very big and like a display of, flowers, animals and stuff. And she made them very practical, nice, and, had some style, but was practical. And World War I, allowed her to express this practicality because women needed to be practical. The men were in the battlefields when they were not around, and women had to go and drive the cars and bend and do the work, and there was no way to have corsets anymore and no way to have long skirts. So her understanding of what women needed and using material that nobody was using before, she became very modern and people were following her. So at the beginning of World War II, she was like the star of fashion and very influenced a lot of people. I had a big factory of cloth and had 4,000 seamstresses, which at the time was a lot. And she closed everything. She didn't want to work for the Germans. She didn't want to, she left for the south of France until her nephew, who was the unique family she had, was a prisoner of the Germans as a French soldier. And so she decided no matter what to save him because he had typhus and was just about to die. So when you understand, the kind of life she had before and what she's made of, no wonder she didn't give up. She didn't care about whether there were Germans, collaborator, or what. She just wanted to save her nephew. And after that, when she went back home for her, which was the Ritz, because she was living at the Ritz before the World War II, and the Nazis were at the Ritz, she decided, as she went to the tourist side, because the Germans took another side, and her suite where she was living was taken away, and so she had to go to the attic, and then met with the Spats, and probably didn't really fall in love with him, but, you know, he was a spy, he was a gigolo, and she was alone. She was at a certain age that after going through all she went through, I don't think she really... So it's another perspective of you know, of her that, you know, I enjoyed showing in the TV show, because it gives another perspective.
Yeah, I mean, it fully captures the complexity of who she was as a person. Juliette, thank you so much for taking time to chat today. I really appreciate it. Very excited to chat with you about the new look coming to Apple TV on Valentine's Day, February 14th.
I know, for the lovers.
I mean, if I didn't have plans already, well, you know what? Maybe I'll change them. I'll stay on the...
You should.
I already watched the whole show. I'll watch it again. It's a terrific series. I'll tell you, I had no clue all that was going on in the worlds of Coco Chanel and Christian Dior during World War II. I mean, I knew of them, knew of some small things, but this series really goes in depth with everything that's going on. You play Catherine or Katrin. I don't have a cool accent, so it doesn't sound good when I say it that way. Christian's sister, who I find to be very much the heart and soul of the story. And I wanted to kind of ask you about playing her and kind of what that experience was like for you.
It's nice that she comes off that way within the context of this story. I think that she really was the heart and soul of Dior's inspiration and of Dior's work. And so if it feels that way in the show, we're doing something right. I think in playing her, I really had to strip away a lot of the context, you know, everything we know about Miss Dior and everything we know about how she inspired Christian. I think that I really had to just chime into the girl living during that time and all of the unbelievably brave decisions that she made, and just really tried to connect and identify with that. And I think that I just tried to separate myself as much as possible from my own world and my own life, and read as much as I possibly could about her, and just tried to drink it all in and let it kind of all run through me as we made the show.
Did you find that reading about her and learning more about her outside of what was in the script, how helpful was that for you in sort of cultivating the character and getting her just right on camera?
Yeah, I think that Catherine is very present in Christian's life even when she is missing, or she's very present within the story even when she is missing. And I think during those couple of months that I spent away from production, I really, really immersed myself in all of these stories from various women who had been to the same camps as Catherine around a similar sort of time. I lost a lot of weight, and I really just kind of like locked myself in my apartment and just soaked in her story. And I think that what I knew was very important was like the change that we would see when she does return again. And I also really wanted there to be some kind of impact on Ben as an actor. I wanted for him to find me unrecognizable, because that's what so much of this source material kind of spoke about, you know. And yeah, so I used it all to just inspire that change and stay focused and stay on the horse.
Where would you rank, maybe I'm not necessarily like a number ranking, but playing Catherine in comparison to some past roles that you've had? Because I mean, it sounds and looks like this was very, very intense.
Yeah, I would say that. Playing Catherine was the opportunity, the one opportunity where I felt I've been able to lose myself the most, and really just shed everything that I know about myself and use every single tool that there is in the toolbox to rebuild someone new. And I just love to do that as an actor, and so feel very, very fortunate that I got to in playing this character, and really hope that people connect with her story in the way that I felt I did when I read these books, because I really just find her to be a magnificent woman.
Thank you so much. I was very moved by your performance as her and her story through you. So thank you very much for the opportunity to chat today with you, Maisie. I appreciate it.